The Growth Point, the True UK Tax Solution Part 1. The Broken System. 1. The Trap We Built. Why the UK's tax system shrinks the tax base. David earns £100,001 a year. On paper, that single extra pound should make no difference to his life. Yet his payslip tells a stranger story. He takes home less money than if he earned £100,000. His marginal tax rate at this exact point is not 40%, nor 50%, but 62%. In other words, the reward for one additional pound of income is a punishment. His colleagues joke that they will turn down the bonus or give the overtime back. But behind the humor lies an uncomfortable truth. They are responding rationally to a system built on irrational incentives. This is the quiet dysfunction at the heart of the UK tax system. It is not simply that taxes are high or that the structure is complicated. It is that the system is filled with invisible cliffs and traps that actively reduce the country's economic potential. These distortions, hidden beneath a surface of seemingly neat bands and percentages, create behaviors that drain the tax base itself. The Treasury loses billions not because people are unwilling to contribute, but because the system tells them, mathematically, that additional effort simply is not worth it. The public perceives these problems as personal frustrations, the overtime that yields almost nothing, the small business owner who finds the tax rules punishing rather than supportive, the high-earning professional who quietly reorganizes their income into dividends or company structures to avoid punitive spikes. But beneath each small story is a universal pattern. When marginal tax rates rise above the point where they reward effort, people respond. Not out of ideology, but because incentives matter. A system that punishes extra work will always end up with less work, less investment, and less taxable income. Consider the nurse who works 3 long shifts a week and is offered a 4th. The additional hours push her into a higher effective marginal rate once national insurance and benefit withdrawal are included. What should be extra income becomes a marginal rate of more than 60%. She says no. She is not lazy. She is logical. She is responding to the direct signal the tax system sends her. Your extra effort has little value. Multiply this by tens of thousands of workers across public and private sectors, and the lost productivity becomes visible not only in the economy, but in the pressure on hospitals, schools, and essential services. Or take the middle manager with a young family who is offered a promotion. On paper, it is a step up. In practice, the combination of increased income, NI, and benefit tapering leaves him only marginally better off, but with substantially more stress. He declines the promotion and remains exactly where he is. A rational individual, shaped by an irrational system. For entrepreneurs, the distortion is even more dramatic. The difference between taking income as salary or dividends can be the difference between a marginal rate in the 40s and one above 60. Faced with this, countless small business owners structure their entire financial lives around avoidance of punitive marginal spikes. Not because they are dishonest, but because the system makes honesty irrational. Instead of building and hiring, they spend energy managing income, timing dividends, and working around thresholds. This deadweight loss is invisible to most, but devastating in aggregate. It represents businesses not built, investments not made, hires not created, and innovations delayed. The Treasury analyst who finally adds all these behaviors together confronts a stark conclusion. Higher statutory rates do not equal higher revenue. The tax base, the total amount of income that is taxed, shrinks whenever marginal rates exceed what people perceive as fair or worthwhile. The UK has built a system where the tax ceiling arrives long before the statutory rate reaches its peak. This is not speculation. It is observed behavior, year after year. Income distributions thicken suspiciously just below key thresholds. Entrepreneurs incorporate not for creativity, but for tax survival. Highly skilled professionals migrate to more predictable jurisdictions, where the financial rewards of their work are clearer and less arbitrarily punctured. People stay in the wrong jobs, on the wrong hours, at the wrong income levels, simply to avoid crossing invisible lines. And yet the most concerning consequence is the long-term erosion of national competitiveness. Switzerland, for example, maintains a highly predictable, moderately taxed system where the top marginal rates sit comfortably below the punitive levels seen in the UK. Australia, though structurally different, avoids the extreme cliff effects of the UK's 62% zone. The Scandinavian countries, often held up as high-tax exemplars, achieve much of their revenue through consumption taxes, while preserving income tax structures that avoid the UK's erratic spikes. In all these places, marginal tax rates remain in the zone where individuals continue to strive, invest, and declare income openly. The system collects more, not by taxing harder, but by taxing smarter. The simplicity and fairness encourage compliance. The predictability attracts investment. And the overall tax base grows, even with rates that appear modest compared to Britain's. This contrast exposes the central flaw in the UK's current approach. Our system is built around the assumption that increasing statutory rates increases revenue. But the real variable that matters is not the rate printed in legislation. It is the behavior triggered by that rate. When individuals reduce work, shift income, or reorganize their financial structure, the tax base shrinks, sometimes dramatically. The UK's system is so full of cliffs and traps that it consistently falls beyond the point where revenue rises and enters the zone where it falls. This is the essence of the broken system. Marginal rates too high to encourage effort, too chaotic to encourage compliance, too punitive to inspire ambition, and too unpredictable to attract investment. The country pays a heavy price for these distortions. Lower growth, lower productivity, lower competitiveness, lower revenue, and a growing disconnect between what citizens contribute and what they feel is fair. It is no wonder the public sense that the system doesn't work, even if they cannot articulate the mechanics behind that intuition. They experience the symptoms daily: the overtime that vanishes into tax, the promotion that doesn't pay, the small business that survives on accounting rather than expansion, the professional who quietly relocates, the widespread feeling that effort is no longer rewarded. This is the trap we built. It is a trap that shrinks the tax base, weakens the economy, and undermines the confidence of an entire nation. But it is not inevitable. It is not permanent. And it is not structurally necessary. There exists a better way, a design built around simple, moderate, efficient marginal rates that expand the tax base rather than shrink it. A design used successfully in other developed nations. A design that encourages growth, ambition, fairness, and investment. A design that collects more revenue rather than less. The first step toward this future is understanding the problem with clear eyes. The UK's tax system does not need harsher rates. It needs smarter ones. It does not need more punishment. It needs more coherence. Above all, it does not need to extract more from the same shrinking base. It needs to allow that base to grow again. This treatise begins with a simple truth. Tax policy is not merely about funding government. It is about shaping the behavior, ambition, and potential of the entire nation. A system that stifles effort shrinks a country. A system that rewards effort enlarges it. And a system that balances fairness with growth can transform both the economy and the treasury. The UK stands at the edge of that transformation. The question is whether we will continue to reinforce the trap we built, or finally choose to dismantle it.